What happened to Thomas Massie? President Trump is banning sex changes on minors. Massie voted against it. President Trump is cutting taxes and saving Kentucky families $10,000. Massie voted against it. President Trump is securing our border and deporting criminal aliens. Massie voted against Trump again. And after Trump obliterated Iran's nuclear weapons program, Massie sided with Democrats and the Ayatollah. Let's fire Thomas Massie. MAGA Kentucky is responsible for the content of this advertising.
So I guess as a Democrat, the fact that this is a MAGA ad attacking a Republican, I can laugh a little bit about how wildly dishonest every aspect of that was, because it wasn't against a Democrat this time. But like, I mean, look, how is that legal? Like, how can you say any of those things? There's no basis in reality. And it's not like Thomas Massie's a good guy or whatever. He's just disagreed with Trump a little bit on a few things where Massie is objectively correct about the Constitution. And because of that, they're trying to take him out. This is why the Republican Party is so deferential to Trump, why there is not a there's not a fragment of spine among any of them. It's because anybody who had a vertebra has been weeded out. And this is how you get that. You stand up slightly for the Constitution, for your principles, for the rule of law, whatever, and you'll be done. And so they're already spending $1 million MAGA Kentucky on that. It's gonna be playing on Fox News and all that digitally. And it's Trump people. It's a PAC that's led by senior Trump advisors like Chris LaCivita and Tony Fabrizio. And they have unlimited money effectively to just take these people out. Not for stopping Trump from doing anything, but just speaking up against him very briefly before eventually bowing down. And that's what they're doing. Thomas Massie has responded by posting Trump's prior endorsement of Massie. And that's kind of clever, but the MAGA movement has no resistance whatsoever to Donald Trump. Again, turning on a dime. A person was great, now I hate them, they're the worst. And they agree, they often agree with him, as temperamental as he can be. So, Brett, what do you think?
So here's what's hilarious about it is like Thomas Massie, when you think about this, sorry, I'm doing a bit on the other computer. Okay, so Thomas Massie is in line with the Bernie Sanderses and the Ron Pauls of the world. What do I mean by that? Those guys are wildly different. Thomas Massie is gonna be the holdout. He's gonna be the hall pass because these are not guys that are gonna do some tricky rhetorical move in order to slide one by you. Thomas Massie isn't like what people like about Bernie Sanders and what people liked about Ron Paul, for those of you old enough to remember, is these are just people who, when you ask them a question, they pause for a second, they run it through their principles. You might disagree with them, you might wildly agree with them, and they'll just spit out an answer. Based on it's wildly refreshing in politics. Yeah. I think Thomas Massie is a psychopath. This is an off the grid compost like weirdo who went to MIT and has a giant gun collection. Thomas Massie is a weird guy, but one thing he isn't is a liar. So Thomas Massie is a great canary in a coal mine for when your party is absolutely lying out their teeth and getting dumb and trying to put one over on you. This is like sometimes Rand Paul shows that he shares a little bit of DNA with his dad, Ron Paul, where he kind of gets in there. Then these are the kind of people who, as we're going into war, won't turn neocon and will say like, we're still against war. And they won't bend over backward. These are people with, as John says, a backbone. And then it yields some of my favorite ads. Like I don't like all the like too clever by half, poorly acted, like just like ads. I love the old timey ads that are like, this guy's crazy. What happened to Thomas Massie? Let me tell you what happened to Thomas Massie, by the way, for those of you who haven't been paying attention. Thomas Massie got hot. Thomas Massie grew a beard. That's the same guy. I love this Thomas Sans. This guy, like, he is a weirdo. He was a dork burger with rectangle glasses, and he was like, you know what? I'm gonna embrace this like compost guy. Yeah, John, no one thinks you're an uggo, but that's it. That is 100% what happened to Thomas Massie. My guy got a makeover.
Yeah.
Nothing else has changed about him is my point.
No, I have only one other point I want to make about this, about the state of the Republican Party. I mean, the fact that this ad exists just shows what a cult it is. But also they cited multiple betrayals of Thomas Massie for Trump. We want to deport illegals. He doesn't want to do that. We want to do massive tax cuts. He doesn't want to do that. We bombed. He stood with the Ayatollah. That all came after sex change for minors. The first, you lead with sex change for minors. All the stuff about war and tax cuts and illegals and all that. Whatever, we'll get to that. The important thing is sex change for minors.
So many people have the one issue that will get them to change. And amid this chaotic, thoroughly stupid arguing among people on the left over whether there are folks in MAGA town, which is the definition changes, but let me clear it up. Whether former and current Trump voters will abandon ship and either disappear from the vote and just no longer show up to vote, or vote with the other people and do a coalition. Like Thomas Massie didn't vote, doesn't go with Trump on everything. There's a bunch of people like Thomas Massie in the world. He might not represent everyone in America, but when you're talking about margins in certain states that are narrow, you got people that leave over war and all the other things that the Republicans in the MAGA ad creating world consider betrayals. But as I say, the only thing that changed about Massie was that he got hot. Nothing else changed.
Yeah.
Trump did.
100%, except for the hot stuff. Other than that, yes.